So, good morning. Hello, everyone. Dear students, dear colleagues, welcome to this second innovation talk of LUMSA University. I'm Leonardo De Cosmo. I'm a professor of digital transformation at LUMSA University of Rome. Innovation Talks is a cycle of webinars aimed to discuss innovation, technology, sustainability, and the future of business in society with experts and opinion leaders in the business community. Innovation Talks are organized by the Department of Law, Economic, Public Politics and Modern Languages, and a master degree in Management and Finance in partnership with Association of Alumni of LUMSA. And today I'm very proud to have as a guest Nicola Buonanno. He is SEMEA Senior Regional Director of Chainanalysis. With Nicola, thank you to stay here. With Nicola, we will talk about blockchain and crypto assets. We will try to demystify these two pillars of digital culture, digital technology. And we will try to understand how these technologies are changing and revolutionizing every industry, and what will happen in the future as well. Nicola, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. And I will drive you through what I've prepared. I hope that this makes sense and is clear. Of course, I would like this to make it also as interactive as we can. So if you want to ask a question, please do so. So I'm Nicola Buonanno. I have the honor to lead the Southern Europe, Middle East, and Africa team for Chainanalysis. I joined the company almost a year ago, in February of this year. I have a background of software and data analytics tools, working for companies like Google, Pivotal, VMware, so on and so forth. And I fell in the crypto rabbit hole around 5 years ago. Probably I didn't buy enough, but that's not a problem. But it's absolutely fascinating to be here, fascinating to be part of this industry and present what we can do, what we are doing, and what are the main trends. So that's what I've prepared for today. I would like to share with you what are the macro trends that we see from a market perspective and from industry perspective. I would like also to share the adoption that we see in terms of usage of cryptocurrencies, but also the connected crime that is associated to this usage. And I will share some reports that Chainanalysis prepare every year with a drill down on Italy specifically. Then, of course, I would like to explain also how this works, how we prepare this, give you a little bit of a better understanding how this works under the hood. And lastly, I would like to spend a couple of words about Chainanalysis and the company, and bring up some Q&A in order to discuss with you. So the industry, the macro trends. So let's start with first things first. I know, because I've been meeting a lot of people, that there are a lot of misconceptions around cryptocurrencies. And initial misconceptions are usually that cryptocurrencies are about illicit activities, ransomware, terrorist financing, drugs, anything funny that might happen in the internet. So let me get it straight immediately. So Bitcoins and in general cryptocurrencies are the most transparent assets that you can have on the internet. Definitely, if there's something that you want to hide, these assets are not the best instruments. You better go with old-fashioned hard cash if you don't want to leave any lead behind you. And this is a study that's been shared by some public institutions in the US. They explain that actually the cryptocurrencies are a very good instrument for investigations, especially because it allows law enforcement to really track down and identify all the different connections. Of course, these assets, this technology, it is used also by bad actors for the really reason why all the other people are using it, because if it's very fast, you can transfer in instant assets around the globe. It are completely permissionless. So all the benefits, the good aspects of cryptocurrencies are also used by bad actors. But this doesn't mean that this is overall an industry that is absolutely not legit. And in fact, that's my personal conviction, but I have a lot of data points that I would like to share. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general are here to stay and change everything. And if you look back and you think about what actually happened in the last 20 years, I see a lot of similarity with another revolution that happened 20 years ago or so, just like the internet. Surprisingly, and also ironically, if you look back 20, 25 years ago, there was a lot of people that didn't believe in the internet and had exactly the same misconceptions that we have now around cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Maybe you are younger than me, maybe you don't remember, but at the beginning of this revolution, a lot of people thought this was just a hype. People thought that it was almost impossible. It was a joke that the internet could have changed the life of billions of people around the globe. We're convinced, and we see also in these days exactly the same articles regarding cryptocurrencies, that the internet was about to collapse anytime soon. More in general, there was a general understanding, a general idea that this was just a trend that was not here to stay. Of course, we all know that they were wrong. We all know that nowadays it's almost impossible to even think our life, our personal life, our business without the internet. This whole meeting is happening because of the internet. Exactly like internet has changed completely the way we interact, the way we share information, we learn, and we do business. I strongly believe that the blockchain revolution, that is just at the beginning of this journey, will have the same impact. And in fact, if you look back and you look at 2021, definitely you will see that this is not anymore something that can be dismissed as a trend or something illicit or something related to the small kind of activities. 2021 was by far the year of mainstream adoption, and mainly because of the institutionals that started to invest very heavily in this space. In 2021, we saw Bank of New York Mellon, we saw Goldman, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, but also providers like Square, like PayPal. Pretty much everybody started investing very heavily in this space and driving an incredible adoption, driving, most importantly, mainstream adoption. Then, of course, you'll know the bear market arrived, and at the moment the market is crashing. The crypto price are down double digits, and we are from a market cap around $3 trillion. We are now under $1 trillion. But even this is a sign of maturity. And I will show you a couple of things. First of all, never bet against the internet. This was a quote that Eric Schmidt once said. And this is exactly what I personally believe about cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Never bet against blockchain. In fact, when in doubt, it's always important to zoom out. It is true that Bitcoin in general, Bitcoin, of course, is the most capitalized asset that we have. At the moment, year to date, is down 62%. And 2022 has been horrible for Bitcoin. But if you look at the last 10 years or so, you will see that this industry is very resilient and anti-fragile. And there were other crises that were even bigger than this, but that we are experiencing right now. And these are a couple of events that happened that really had a big impact on the valuation and the adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. And if you see the actual value, actually you will think that this industry is pretty resilient and there's a certain stability. In fact, if you look at what is happening at the Bitcoin price and in general all the tech stocks, you will see there's a nearly one-to-one correlation. This, once again, of course, is not a fantastic news at the moment because this correlation is trending down, but it is an additional sign that this industry is becoming mainstream. This is just another investment asset. And of course, at the moment, it's not really hot, but we truly believe that this trend will change very quickly. In fact, it's true that the total value received and exchanged is going down. It's trending down big time since 2021, and you see from the orange line. But if you look at the number of active services, these are growing even now that we are in a bear market. There are more and more services that have been launched. So there's even more competition. So definitely the fact that at the moment the value exchange is going down is not affecting the creativity or the what is happening in the market in terms of innovation. And as a matter of fact, also regulation is adapting to this new environment and this new opportunity. And in fact, the regulations are no longer focusing only on countering illicit financing, money laundering, terrorist financing, sanctions, but more and more they are focusing on creating the right guardrails, the right framework to make sure that this industry can innovate within certain limits and can thrive. And more and more is focusing on prudential, on the conduct of business, prevention of market abuses and manipulation, financial stability. Of course, there's a lot that we need to do yet. All the regulators around the globe are working very heavily to make sure that they can release the right regulation without killing the innovation that is happening in the industry. But in the last 12 to 24 months, I've seen a lot of progress that has been made everywhere, including in the EU, including the EU, and including in Italy specifically. And these regulations, these new approaches, and these frameworks are actually facilitating some megatrends that are having a big impact in this ecosystem. And if you look at the left-hand side, what is really changing the overall industry is the fintech retail adoption. We saw in the last months more than 70 million private wallets that have been created in the space. We discussed already about the institutional interest. In 2021, 63% of all the trading value is being run by institutionals. So that the traditional finance banks and investment banks. But also we have seen more and more government that start to not only understand more, but start to regulate and leverage the opportunity that the blockchain brings. And at the moment, we have more than 100 countries that have applied anti-money laundering rules. But where we see the biggest innovation happening is what we have on the right-hand side. And in fact, with DeFi, with the decentralized finance, we saw in 2021 an incredible growth. We are talking about something around 4-digit growth, and we 250 billion of total value locked. We will discuss a bit more of what is DeFi. We saw the incredible interest around NFTs with 27 billion in sales only in 2021. And we started to see the layer 2 protocols and the stable coins kicking in with around 170 billion of a market cap in different projects and apps. So I hope at least that now it's starting to become more clear that this is not anything illicit. This industry is here to stay. These assets are absolutely just another mainstream kind of assets. But I hope that you start to understand and see that it's no longer only something related to payment instrument, a way to invest, or something that is related to just assets. But the real revolution is happening because the blockchain is becoming more and more the operating system, the OS of everything, like the internet. That's why I wanted to have this starting point for this conversation. Blockchain is going to be the platform of the new internet. It's going to be the platform of many other different services that have been launched, that will be launched in the future, and will change completely the way we run our business. We consume information on the internet, and we buy, we communicate, and we live our lives. Let's have a look at what I mean with this. So, as I said, we are transitioning from something that is related to trading, investment, assets, payments, to a lot of different use cases. And these, of course, are just as an illustration, example of what can happen, and there are many of these. So one is definitely about the collectible and license. So you heard a lot about NFTs. I'm pretty sure about that. But of course, NFTs at the moment, the main use case that is being communicated around the globe is about collectibles. It's about collections. It's about digital arts. You will be probably surprised to know that this, according to a lot of people, is not the most interesting use case. Of course, at the moment, there's a lot of interest around this from the, let's say, normal consumers. And of course, there's a lot of coverage around this. But NFTs, and more in general, the smart contracts, will change completely the way we do a lot of things, like ticketing, like subscriptions, like memberships to any sort of associations. And they can even have the power to change the way we have our identity recognized on the internet. We'll talk a little bit more later about this. But then also another use case that we started to see more and more that is enabled by the blockchain is the metaverse and gaming. Metaverse is another buzzword that we have heard a lot, but what is really about? Metaverse is an expansion of the Web3, is an expansion of what the blockchain is enabling, is where everybody has a digital identity, and every interaction that is happening in the metaverse is controlled and is defined by the rules that are written on the blockchain. And same thing for gaming. In the gaming, there are more and more values that has been created and traded. People can buy stuff, can trade stuff, can create different worlds. And these are, of course, digital assets. But the way to store, the way to share these assets is because of the blockchain. Then we have, of course, the Web3 and the centralized business functions. We will double click on this later on. But there are more and more, of course, different use cases. There's a passive income and earnings, the remittances, and many more. Just to give you an example, why is this so important? Where is the revolution? And I hope that you start to understand that we are really at the beginning of something that is much bigger. We are scratching the surface of what is actually possible. Here, just a very, if you allow me, very stupid, very simple example, but it is just to bring what is actually possible. So on the left-hand side, you have a traditional business made of corporation, offices, and all the infrastructure that is required to create some business. And if you want to participate in one of these businesses, now you have different options. But of course, one is definitely to buy some shares of this corporation and to participate as an investor. But the results, you probably know, every $100 of revenue, there are a lot of costs, and probably you will get 5% through dividends of what is being created in terms of value. And the contrary with this revolution, with this Web3, and what with this disintermediation that the blockchain allows, if you participate to a project and this project creates $100 of revenue, you will get as an income 95% of it. And the rest will be completely deleted, and you will have only fees for the execution of a smart contract or execution of something that is being already written as part of the blockchain. But what is Web3? We discussed already about this. We heard about Web3. Probably it's time to deep dive a bit more about it. So I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with the Web 1.0. It was the web that originated from university, from different labs. It was all about an open source protocol that allowed to exchange information between computers. Very hard to see back then the revolution that was within this innovation. But this allowed in the 90s or in around 2000 to the generation of to create other centralized activities and businesses like Google, Amazon, Facebook, just to name a few. So centralized entities where the consumer of the information, of the data, and the creator of the information are the same people. And there's somebody in the middle that is operating as a broker and is putting in touch who wants something with who is willing to provide this. Of course, in this environment, this scenario, the centralized entity is the one that is controlling the rules of engagement of what is happening in each service, and also controlling the data that has been exchanged. In the Web3, which is the evolution of the web, which is the one that more and more we are starting to see, and again, the metaverse is just one of the applications of Web3, we won't have anymore any centralized entity, or at least this is the idea, this is the theory. No centralized entities in the middle, for sure. But every interaction will be based on specific rules that are written on a blockchain. And everything will be absolutely transparent. And the creator of the content will be also the person that is in charge and controls what is happening in that specific interaction. So I know that it might sound a bit complicated, but if you want, we can deep dive later on. This, of course, unlocks a lot of potential, a lot of value, and makes the internet even more transparent, and the interaction that is happening on the internet completely permissionless, because there's nobody in the middle deciding what can be published or what can be consumed, but it will be really based on a very transparent algorithm protocol that will be the operating system of that interaction. As a result of this revolution, probably you will be surprised to see that, of course, a lot of DeFi and Web3 projects are not based on Bitcoin, but there are many other digital assets that are used to enable these new projects. And as a result, if we see in the last years, we saw that the Bitcoin dominance dropped to around 10%. Another sign that when we think about cryptocurrency and blockchain, there's much more than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is, of course, the main pillar, is the cryptocurrencies that has the biggest capitalization, is what originated everything. But you cannot really understand what's going on, what is happening in this industry, without understanding what is happening in DeFi and the Web3. And in fact, if we look at the data and the value, the numbers, you will see that in terms of transfers, in terms of quantity of transfers, Web3 and DeFi are those that have received the most value in the last months. With the NFTs and gaming, they are really starting to pick up. But what is DeFi? I think also this another topic, another word that has been discussed very often. DeFi means decentralized finance, and it's really an umbrella. It's really a term under which there are, you can put a lot of things. And to make it simple, we can think about DeFi as something where you don't need anymore to have a centralized third party in the middle to operate as a broker. Imagine now in the traditional finance, when you want to transfer some money from person A to person B, what you do is to ask the bank to execute it on your behalf, or same thing for many other activities. What is DeFi is basically removing all the middlemen, all the middle institutions that are in the middle, but it's relying on a specific smart contract to execute that specific need. And of course, this has an incredible impact, incredible potential, because this means that basically you can execute pretty much anything that we nowadays do, thanks to a platform, thanks to a website, an application, can happen thanks to a smart contract, where this smart contract can put in touch who has something that wants to sell, who has something that wants to buy. And as a sign of the incredible adoption that we are seeing on checking what is happening on the on-chain exchanges, we saw that in between 2021 and 2022, the centralized exchanges that are, let's say, the where you can buy, you can sell, and you can store in a centralized way the cryptocurrencies, with a little bit of a stretch, can be perceived as the bank of the crypto world, are no longer dominating the exchanges that are happening in this space. And more we are starting to see the centralized exchanges, where basically I can buy, sell, and store without a centralized entity, but simply executing a smart contract. And more we are starting to see the decentralized exchange and picking up with a lot of value that has been associated to them. Of course, this is not really an apple to apple comparison, also because a lot of what is happening in the centralized exchanges is off-chain, while any exchange, any interaction that is happening in the decentralized exchanges is actually on the blockchain. But this is a good indication of the trend of what is happening. Last but not least, NFT is just another application. And despite the crypto winter, despite the bear market in 2022, so these are pretty fresh data, we are starting to see even more adoption, even more traction compared to the bull run of 2021. And that's because, as I said, no longer related to only digital arts. NFT can be really anything. In the tokenization of our industries and our lives are creating every day a new use case. And more we are starting to see how the NFT could be used to unlock specific benefits, or get a specific subscription for some services, or even can be connected to my digital identity in the internet. Of course, bear in mind that this is a very new industry. There are still a lot of risk connected to this. We saw that the DeFi is really accelerating the adoption of cryptocurrencies, is generating a lot of innovation in the industry. But if we look at the data in 2022, almost 95% of all the acts have happened actually on DeFi. And that's because, first of all, there are a lot of services out there. Some of these are still not fully mature in terms of security. So many hackers have been exploited, maybe vulnerabilities in the code to steal the assets, but also because these are a bit more advanced, let's say, kind of projects. So when you want to participate, you need to understand a bit more. It's important the level of education of how this world works, and make sure that you take all the measures to make sure that no one can steal your assets. And this is a very important topic, because 60% of all these acts have actually been conducted by North Korea hackers. there are clear signs that this is an organized goal to finance some other kind of activities. And of course, these are very well funded and professionals that have only one mission: try to steal value from all these projects. And in the last 12 months, billions of dollars have been hacked. So this is something that absolutely we need to keep in mind. So I talked about the reports that Chainanalysis prepares and shares every year, and the geographic data. So let me deep dive a little bit about on this. So I don't know if you are aware, I don't know if you know, but every year Chainanalysis release these reports. They are becoming more and more the standard in the industry. One that's been just released in October 2022, so it's pretty fresh, is about the Global Adoption Index. We use very different components for the index: the on-chain value, the peer-to-peer trade volume, the retail volume, the volume. We shake all this information around 154 countries around the world. Once again, the crypto adoption is definitely something that is absolutely global. And then we try to identify, we put like a ranking. So Italy this year at the global level ranked 51. It was 79th position last year, so definitely incredible adoption. But if we look at the DeFi, this acceleration is even bigger. At the moment, Italy is around the position 30. But another interesting thing that I would like to share is about the Western Europe, because another data that is pretty evident that the Western Europe is definitely the #1 largest region in the world when it comes to global adoption. And maybe this is something that no one really was prepared to hear, or is something that is news to a lot of people. And as you can see, Western Europe has a bigger adoption even than the US, than APAC, and some other geos, with around 22% of all the activities that happened last year were in Western Europe. And if we drill down on the Western Europe, we see that Italy, in this case, ranks number 6, with around almost 79 billion of crypto assets received during this period. An incredible amount of value, incredible amount of money, and probably is a position that no one will expect Italy to see. But it confirms how this is not something that is happening only in some geos or some countries. It is absolutely global, and it is absolutely a reality also in Italy. But there's another very important and famous crypto report that Chainanalysis releases every year. This one is been released in February 2022. We are preparing the new one. We will release soon the new one regarding the 2023 crypto crime report. And this is very interesting because, as we discussed earlier, of course, this industry is absolutely legit, but there's still crime happening. And the good news is that whatever you do in the blockchain, whatever happens with the cryptocurrencies, you leave some breadcrumbs. That is what we do. We analyze this with this data, and we try to identify what is actually happening. And another confirmation that this is absolutely a legit industry is that in 2021, despite the incredible adoption, only 0.15% of all activities were related to illicit activities. This, again, if you think about the misconception of cryptocurrencies related to scams, to ransomware, to illicit activities, drugs, and whatever you, 0.15% is very far away from this idea. And again, it shows that almost 100% of what is happening is absolutely legit. But yet, if this is true on the relative terms, due to the incredible adoption that happened last year, this year, in 2021, we saw the all-time record in terms of value of illicit activities, because of course, in absolute terms, due to the incredible adoption, we saw almost more than 14 billion of illicit activities worldwide happening, with the biggest component coming from scams and also some from stolen funds. If you look at what is happening in Italy, Italy is absolutely aligned in terms of percentage, and these are data pretty fresh, will be part of the next report we will be releasing very soon. So I'm giving you a sneak peek of what is under the hood of the new report. So we have identified in Italy in between September 2021 and September 2022, 2.5 billions worth of illicit activities and 6 billion of risky activities. So of course there's a big difference, and I will show you what's the difference. With the fastest growing crime happening, that is about stolen funds, that grew by 23% in the last 12 months, reaching 43 million total value, and also the 73 million coming from sanctions categories. But probably at this point you're asking yourself, how does it work? How can you get this information? Because even myself, before joining this company, I thought blockchain and the cryptocurrencies are supposed to be anonymous. How can you have this kind of information? Let me clarify this. Blockchain is not anonymous. It's pseudonymous. Of course, I don't know. There are the names, the last name, I don't have the information. But everything that you do is actually public, and this data is accessible. The only problem is that it's not human readable. If you look at what is happening at each block, that's what you will see. Hundreds or even millions of strings, of numerical strings, that don't give a lot of information about what is happening. What we do as a company, as a Chainanalysis, is to give you the name of the entities that are behind these strings, these addresses. How do we do that? We do, of course, with algorithms. We do this with machine learning, but we also do this with a deterministic approach, leveraging more than 50 world-class investigators and partners that work every day in making sure that we can give a sense of the millions sometimes of addresses, and we can give you the name of the real-world entities so that you can understand, you can see that entity A transferred value from to entity B, and what is who is the receiver, but also what is the actual exposure of this transaction. Let me give you more information, because not only we do with the clustering, we identify who is who in the industry, but then we also attribute the different elements of these transactions, and we can tell you if this transaction was legit or if it was some level of exposure to illicit activities, and what are these illicit activities. Because, as I said, anything that happens in the blockchain is actually public, so I can see if that specific asset has been involved in any case, or has been related to illicit activities, maybe in the dark web, or is somehow related to ransomware, scam, and so on and so forth. And not only we, of course, use the on-chain data, but we also enrich this data with some other open source intelligence informations, like crawling the dark web and making sure that we can have as much information as we can. If you are interested, this is the workflow, clustering, identification, and categorization. But I think we are almost on time. Let me spend a few words about Chainanalysis at this point. Probably, I hope that I have created a little bit of curiosity of what we do. You saw what we do. You saw what is possible. I will tell you who we are. We are basically a data company. We provide data. We provide solution platforms. We provide software. We provide education, and professional services to make sure that we can build trust in the blockchain. At the moment, we are by far the largest enterprise SaaS company, software as a service company in crypto. We have our headquarters in New York. We are opening in offices pretty much everywhere. We operate in 70 countries at the moment. We have 180 plus employees. These numbers are subject to be updated because when I joined, we were 400. I've learned that we will finish the year around 1,000. So we keep growing, we keep hiring with a very good company engagement and evaluation of 8.6 billion. Why this is important? Because in an industry that is constantly changing and evolving, this means reliability. It means that we are in this business since many years. We are solid, we are stable, and we can really support our customers. That's why we have more than 1,000 global customers around the globe. At the moment, we collaborate, we work with financial institutions, so traditional banks, fintech, but also crypto natives, so the centralized exchanges, DeFi, so on and so forth. And we monitor every month around 200 billion worth of transactions. But also we collaborate with all the main public sector entities, with regulators, with the enforcement across 35 countries. We have trained more than 5,000 investigators at this moment. And of course, it's this connection that gives us the ability to be perceived and recognized as a trusted advisor, a trusted partner in this world. That's because we have been involved in all the major cases since the very creation of the company. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mt. Gox investigation, but Mt. Gox was the largest hack that happened in 2014. And the company was created to fill that gap, to understand what is happening in the blockchain, leverage the transparency of the blockchain to really go after the funds that were stolen. If you're not aware, in 2014, Mt. Gox stored almost 70% of all Bitcoins available in the world. That was a big hit for this industry. But as you saw, this industry is pretty resilient. And we have been involved in all the major cases that happened in these years. And we have helped the law enforcement clients to seize almost $9 billion in these years. So I hope that I've created a little bit of interest around crypto, blockchain, and Chainanalysis. If you want to learn more, I suggest you to download these 3 different reports. The first one is about the crypto crime. The second one is the State of Web3 report. And the last one is about the geography of cryptocurrencies. And these are some information that you can find on our website. There's a blog with a lot of information. And then also, if you want to get live data insights, go on market.chainanalysis.com to see all the latest. With this, I'm done. I hope that wasn't too complicated, but more that was interesting. Do you have any question for me?
Nicola, was beautiful, really, really. Maybe the best lesson I heard about this new world. It's very complex world. And you gave us a complete panorama of every kind of application sector. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. But you know, I'm a journalist. We love a lot the dark side of everything. So it's also for my fault. We many times we talk about not so beautiful sides of Bitcoins. Anyway,
it's part of human nature. We are attracted by this.
But anyway, Angiochi, we have a lot of questions for you. But anyway, we don't have so much time. But maybe we can start with something. You talk about the smart contracts, no? You said smart contracts is a part of a blockchain, very important, and media, they talk just few. And can you explain us some cases to understand in our daily life? We will have really smart contracts? How do you think they will change our daily life, or we stay just for business in high levels?
Yes, when we talk about smart contracts nowadays, very often we think about NFTs and we think about sometimes like digital art, which is of course something important, but to me it reminds me very much at the beginning of the first email accounts, where no one really had a real use case for emails apart from send stupid images or jokes, and that was actually not very useful for the business, but was a good way to bring this to the attention of a lot of people. Because of this not so business related or revolutionary application, a lot of people started to open up email account and started to using it. I think that even there's a big value related to the NFTs and the digital art. I'm not a collector, so I cannot really judge about this. But the reason why this is very important and useful is because a lot of people now know what it is and are starting to see the value. But personally, I believe that the real revolution will come from different use cases. An NFT and a token at the moment that is connected to the smart contract potentially can change it and can change anything. Just to give a few examples, we talk about Web3. Web3 is all operated by blockchain, which means that my digital identity, has to be something that is on a blockchain. And so a digital identity that allows me to interact in a metaverse, on a website, on a business website, to get and retrieve information or to sell something, has to be related to a digital identity. That digital identity can be an NFT, can be something that certifies that I am Nicola Buonanno, and this information is stored somewhere and is verified and certified. The application can be limitless, can be related to voting, can be to ticketing, can be to maybe a lease, or can be to a subscription. Nowadays, we are starting to see more and more NFTs that are related to the subscription to a membership club, that if you have that NFT, you get automatically like a series of services that otherwise you wouldn't get. Nothing so different to what you have nowadays, but the way that you can do it is much different, because there's no way that you can lose. It's a subscription. You can sell it on like aftermarket, and it's very different and transparent the way you interact and you share. And of course, then a smart contract in general will enable any sort of interaction. Nowadays, any kind of service that you have in the internet needs a centralized identity, a centralized entity behind it to execute any service. Imagine if you want to call a cab, a taxi, through an application. You use that application, then it's the application that it connects you to somebody and collects part, of course, of the revenue. With a smart contract, potentially you can directly be connected to anybody that is willing to offer his own car to drive you somewhere, and it will be all based on the execution of a transparent rule, which is written in the smart contract, that cannot be acted, cannot be changed, and it's stored on the blockchain, and the rule of engagement will be absolutely clear and transparent.
Thank you, Nicola. I have two questions, not too much because we don't have too much time. I think one of maybe the most important thing you show us is to let understand us that blockchain will be the platform of the future Web3. And I have two questions about it. One about the governance. Do you think decentralized governance is only a good part, or because in internet connections are thinking also like human rights, similar to a human right now at the moment. Do you think to having not having a governance in a network could be anyway just good or not?
Yeah, of course. There's still, I mean, these industries feel very new, and everybody's wrapping his mind around what's the best way to execute and how to get the best.
Yeah, I'm a journalist. I love the dark side.
I know. Of course, I mean, if you think about an internet is completely distributed and without any censorship, and completely that connects everybody without any middleman in the middle of a middle entity. It is the very much promise that the regional internet was, to connect everybody and allow everybody to share information, to get information without any censorship power. Of course, these has pros and cons in general. And more in general, there are pros and cons in the completely decentralized world in terms of usability and security. Of course, a more centralized world, it's easier because a lot of things are from user interface, from security, and from interaction are simplified. And while a completely decentralized world is much more complicated and exposes you to risks, different risks, and you need to be much more proficient and understand this industry. But on the other hand, also allows the creation and distribution of value in a much different way, as I showed earlier. So I believe that it won't be like a black and white. It will be always a combination of the two worlds. But I think it will enable and give it even more power in the internet and interactions, and has the power to really give to people that live in a different part of the world to have access to information, but also have access to services that at the moment are denied. Let's not forget that a big part of the world is still completely unbanked, that have no access to the basic services that we have in the Western world, that cannot transact or even transfer money outside their own country. And this prevents them to change their destiny and to run away from poverty. A completely decentralized world and a system that is not relying on the censorship or control or permissions allow literally everybody to come up with an idea, to have access to financial services, and potentially to transact with the rest of the world.
Thank you, Nicola. Last question for my students. They're asking as well. But in this new future internet, which kind of skills they will need to make business? Not like not informatic skills, but which kind of skills they have to develop?
It's an interesting one. So I think, as always, when it comes to innovation, the most important skill that everybody has to develop is the curiosity, the ability to learn, and the ability to adapt. Blockchain and the cryptocurrencies in general are a combination of different skills. At the beginning was very much related to financial skills, financial understanding, and tech understandings. Nowadays, this industry is becoming very pervasive everywhere. So it's really about understanding what can be changed and transformed in any aspect of a society, and then apply a different way of executing it. So think about the blockchain as a shared environment to execute something. The idea can come from anybody. You don't need to be an expert on coding. I'm not an expert of coding, absolutely. There are a lot of people that are involved in this industry that are not experts of coding, but they're experts and understand what is necessary for, as I said, the unbanked people in Africa, or are experts about retail, or are experts about the real estate, and they have an idea of what is missing and what could make those services easier, and of course a basic understanding of the potential of the blockchain, but then not necessarily is required to understand the bit and byte of the technology that is underlying this. That's what makes it very fascinating, because it allows really everybody that has the curiosity and an understanding of a specific domain to contribute and to come up with something new. And this industry is super diverse, super open, and willing to learn. It's going so quickly that there's not a single person that can say that knows everything. There's always something to learn every day. And I encourage to participate to different blogs and different forums that are about these projects, to learn, share, and maybe come up with something new, and then identify who can make it real.
Thank you, Nicola, very much. Time is up. Thank you very much. It was a beautiful lesson. So see you next time. I hope to invite you, I don't know, maybe next year or 2 years to see how everything is changing.
It will be a pleasure. There will be a very different market, very different industry. It will be a pleasure to be back. But for the time being, thank you so much for inviting me, for having me.
Thank you, Nicola. And just I want to close. Remember about the next LUMSA Innovation Talk will be in the 15th of December at 2 o'clock in the PM with Marco Marcia, group leader of European Molecular Biology Lab in Grenoble, about Google Biomaps and how artificial intelligence is changing our understanding in biology. So thank you to everyone. See you.
Thank you. Bye.